Up after the break, we'll take a look at.
Pardon the interruption for a very important news update.
This is no holds barred. We go hard, we go harder. In the ring, on the mic, every shot is no holds barred. Feel the charge, feel the armor. Bobby Josh in your brain, turn it up, go farther, farther, farther. Theme hits loud, then the grips come off. Call out the card, call every payoff. Botches, legends, titles, and heat. Pay-per-view nights, run it back, repeat. They slam, we analyze. Move for move, every feud, every bruise, every pivot move. This is no holds barred. We go hard, we go harder. In the ring, on the mic, every shot is no holds barred. Feel the charge, feel the armor. Bobby Josh in your brain, turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther. No script, just true. Every jab breaks through. From the bell to the brawl. Name the show. We want it all. 1, 2, 3. This is no holds barred. We go hard, we go harder. In the ring, on the mic, every shot is no holds barred. Feel the charge, feel the armor. Bobby Josh in your brain, turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther. Turn it up, go farther.
All right. Good afternoon. Happy Saturday, wrestling fans. Welcome to another edition of the No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast here on FTSN. I'm Bobby Melendez, joined always by my tag team partner, the one and only Josh Kimmel. My brother, how you doing?
What's going on, man? I'm doing pretty good. I'm ready to talk. Ready to talk a really good WrestleMania. Probably the best yet. I don't know. We'll see. Honestly, but ready to talk about this one live from the Hoosier Dome. A lot of people. There's going to be a trend soon. Not now, not this episode, but soon, where I'll start judging the stages, the setups, because now we're moving into like, oh, and this one has character, because it used to just be up to this point, it's the same WrestleMania. There's nothing special about it. Like as far as ring wise, logo wise, I'm starting to see it grow, and I'm excited for it, Bobby.
Yeah, no doubt. This, it was during the Bret Hart Piper match where I kind of started noticing the difference really of this WrestleMania compared to the other 7. So it's starting to turn that leaf now into what the next generation's going to be. So, or with the next era that we're getting into pretty shortly. And I'm excited about to talk about this WrestleMania because, like you said, I mean, there were some misses, right? But to me, felt, in my opinion, probably one of the better WrestleManias that we've watched, or at least in my opinion, especially, some of the matches, Hart and Piper, Savage Flair, so there's a lot to talk about and we'll get into it. And if we're starting off, the last WrestleMania, WrestleMania VII, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, both on their respective tag teams, right? You had the Rockers, Marty Jannetty. You had the Hart Foundation with Bret Hart. The Rockers went over, but the Hart Foundation lost. And one thing we discussed was how it felt like watching these two teams. It felt like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart were both kind of already trending in that singles run. They were kind of really Shawn Michaels, even though there was no turn, he had a good run. He was hot tag. The crowd was going crazy. Bret Hart, they lost, but Bret Hart, you could tell, was the main attraction. So finally, though, this WrestleMania, a year later, we're getting that singles push now for both guys. Starting off with Shawn Michaels with Sensational Sherry, who, to me, like Ted DiBiase, these WrestleManias, she comes off great. Like, she's such a great character. Taking on Tito Santana. Let's start off with that match. Get your opinion. How'd you feel about Shawn Michaels' first WrestleMania singles match?
Yeah, I was surprised. I didn't know. Again, I walk into these WrestleManias kind of unknown, especially in these deeper ones, like 8 through, I guess we'll go through about 17. It's kind of like where I'm unsure on. So I saw him come out. He's a bad guy. People were booing him. Of course, he's with Sherry. Of course, you're going to get the boos. And I'm like, man, Tito Santana's still kicking. Like, all right, cool. I guess this is a let's make Shawn Michaels look really good kind of match. And that's what this match was. Santana was technical. Shawn was overselling. I don't know if you knew that or noticed that, but super overselling in this match. And you're like, okay, he started here. He must have not wanted to work with Tito because he really, really oversold almost every move that they did. Sweet Chin Music happened, but it wasn't his finisher. It wasn't that. It was weird. It was weird to see the Sweet Chin Music hit and not be the finisher. But we saw a shift. The little guys. He's not little, but the little guys. We didn't see Dino Bravo. We didn't saw Hogan and Sid, but this is a match of the little guys breaking through. Shawn Michaels, man, look good, look refreshing. It was refreshing to see, Bobby.
Yeah, I'll tell you what was really cool to see was just the development of character, from being a fan favorite, with Marty Jannetty and, different vibe. And then just a year later, you get the Heartbreak Kid with the original Heartbreak Kid song, Sensational Sherry, and this music. How he's basically, she's following him around because he's the meal ticket, and you start to see too now the sex appeal start to come in. Now, Sherry's, grabbing her ass, and so you're starting to see that start to sneak peek in into what WWF eventually becomes. So that was very interesting to see. I'll tell you though, as great as Tino Santana is as an in-ring competitor, and Shawn Michaels, I felt like when I saw these two coming at it, about to go at it, I was like, oh, I'm excited for this. This is cool. I thought they were going to gel really well. But I didn't feel that way coming in. I did not like this match, to be honest. I kind of felt underwhelmed with it. I kind of was like, man, for this to be Shawn Michaels' first WrestleMania match, I was like, MJF, AEW MJF just talked about Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and saying how Shawn Michaels is great, in which, that's a whole, obviously these are guys in their young stages, but we're going to get into the Bret Hart match. But I felt a whole lot better about the Bret Hart match than I did about this one, being their first singles match in WrestleMania. So I don't know how you felt about the match and the end of it, but for me, I was underwhelmed.
I mean, it's an against the old head, right? It's Tito Santana versus Shawn Michaels. If it was Shawn Michaels versus a person of his era that could put on a good match, still not saying Tito couldn't put on a good match, but
that could be the case.
I'm talking myself in circles because Roddy Piper is the same era. But we're going to talk about why Roddy Piper, that was probably the second best match in WrestleMania history up to this point, in my opinion. It's funny because I think I wish I didn't rate WrestleMania as a whole. I wish I started doing WrestleMania matches as a whole, because in my opinion, the two best WrestleMania matches up to this point are on this card for sure. And Roddy Piper and Bret Hart's one of them to me. Macho Man Ric Flair is the other one, and they're both on the same card, and they're the best matches up to this point, in my opinion. But that maybe Tito was washed at the time. We think about it today. Look at you can't say Obafemi because he gets over on his bigness and toughness, but look at someone like a smaller guy that can do moves, that can work good matches, Sami Zayn. Let's just say he was younger in his career, and he's going up against an older generational kind of guy who can't move, who's an old traditional baby face, but you know that guy's going to lose. Shawn's there to win. Tito's there to put this kid over. That's probably why you didn't have that same sense of urgency or same sense of like, oh, this is a good match, because the promo before the Bret match, you didn't need to watch weeks of television. That promo alone, where Roddy Piper was, we'll get into it, but that sold that match and made you excited. There was nothing to get you excited for this match. It was just, oh, it's a Shawn Michaels match. Yeah. So I think that has something to do with it too.
I agree. I think you're probably right on the money. And because obviously Piper and Bret Hart know each other, cousins, childhood friends, and you promo right before here, it's just like, hey, we're starting off Shawn Michaels versus Tito Santana. Let's roll it out. Let's see how it goes, or let's just get this going. And again, Shawn goes over, and as you said, this seems to be out with the old, in with the new. Taker over Roberts, Hart over Piper, and Michaels over Santana. We'll continue to go there. Talking about Taker over Roberts, that is the next match. The Undertaker taking on Jake Roberts. Good story prior to it, talking about it. The match itself, again, Taker, completely unbeatable. Basically, Roberts gets some licks in. And I will say, man, this will be Roberts' last match before he jumps to WCW, and then he'll come back later. So probably the reason why he went under in this match, put Undertaker over. However, I'll say, I'm watching him, the punches, and I'm like saying to myself, he didn't have the look. He had the mic skills. He also had the ring skills, and he could make a punch look legit. I mean, Roberts was great in my opinion in ring in overall. And the Undertaker, Paul Bearer can't sell for shit. He got punched. And he's just so fall, bro. Maybe he can't get back up. I don't know.
No.
Or maybe maybe it's the urn. Maybe the urn gives him powers that he can't feel it. But this match was all right. Taker was basically unbeatable. You couldn't get him down. This is one of the reasons why I talked to you before the show when I was looking at Taker and I'm going, even at this stage, I could have seen him in the main event area, being that ultimate test against the ultimate good guy, whether that be Hogan or Hart or whatever. Obviously Hogan in this era at this time. But this was all right. This was okay. It wasn't great. It was to the point, made Taker look really good. They wrapped up the match. I mean, the tombstone right outside the ring, clean, more protected than what happened to Jake, Jimmy Snuka, who, he looked like he got neck broken in half in the last WrestleMania. Here, barely touches the ground, but does the job. And how about the commentary of Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon? I can't tell you how many times I actually laugh out loud with Bobby Heenan, man. He is so freaking good. Like Jesse the Body is right there with Gorilla as a partner, but nothing touched Bobby and Gorilla. What did you think of this match, man?
First off, we're opposite, and it's not far off. It's not like I'm not gonna quit the show because you said that, but I prefer I prefer Body. I prefer Jesse and Gorilla. It's more subtle. They're more subtle, whereas the shots were like you can tell they're good. You can tell, and this is nothing against Bobby because they're different styles. You can't compare the two. They're not apples and apples. But Jesse and Gorilla had that camaraderie of like they're just good best friends and they can take shots at each other, but they're not over the top and you have to catch them. And if you didn't catch it, you missed it. And they're very subtle. Whereas Bobby's over the top, screaming, "I'm a journalist!" Like he's over the top, which is still good. It's just I prefer the underhanded comments rather than the over the top comments. But I defer to the analysis. 2 DDTs. Undertaker stood up. We get the sit-ups. We see that part of it. We see the kids that are scared. He's working babyface at this time, which again, in the dark, didn't know Undertaker worked babyface that early in his career. Jake was the heel.
Yes.
Sorry, my son needs something. What do you want? Yeah, go. Sorry, he's getting crayons.
You're good,
I apologize.
It's all good, man.
But Jake is working the heel way, which was again odd to see that era of Undertaker be babyface. But again, maybe he was babyface the whole time, and I just never knew because I was a WCW kid. And to be honest, I wasn't into wrestling at this period at all. So that's all. Comments of the match. Cool to see Taker be babyface.
Now we get into, again, you talked about the promo before, which I think highlighted, Bret Hart wasn't always the greatest on the mic, right? But years later, he wasn't that bad. He told a good story on the mic. I don't think he wasn't a bad talker. He was pretty good. Here, though, you could totally see where he was raw at that part. Like, you watched this promo before with Roddy Piper. Piper makes it look so easy. Everything he says, and he talk about over the top, but everything he says, but it's like, I loved you. I've known you since you were yee-high, and your Mama Hart would come in, and then he stopped. And he went, "What? You have a problem? Like, I'm trying to tell a story." And Bret Hart awkwardly says, "All I want is that," and they're like going like this at each other, with their fist up and everything. But still, good start, but you can see where Bret Hart is still a baby in that form in regards of being that, you got to be that singles run. You got to handle the mic, but Roddy Piper takes care of him. Now when you get to the ring, and this just shows how great Roddy Piper is as well. Overall, as a professional wrestler, one of the greatest of all time. But Bret Hart in the ring, I talked about Shawn Michaels earlier, and I'm not talking about who's the best between those two guys right now. But at that moment in time, Bret Hart made everything look easy. I mean, everything look easy. It was like a surgeon in the ring. I mean, everything he did meant something. And even when the moves were put on him, you could tell these two knew each other so freaking well. Like you could tell when somebody has chemistry, and you could see these guys that they've done this for years. They probably, they wrestled in the dungeon. They grew up together. Like they knew before even the move was going to go down what they were going to do. Then Bret gets busted open legitimately, and he is busted open. Yeah. And, so much so that after the match, you could see it where like Piper's kind of like, hey, do something here. But man, and then the finish, right? I'll let you get into it, but let me just say the finish was perfect. Slapping on the sleeper, Bret effortlessly makes it look easy, throws the two legs up, rolls out. No, like where you could have got a referee stupid. It should have been a kick out. Oh, it should have been. You could tell his shoulder was up. No, Piper was down. Hart did it. 1, 2, 3. Didn't make Piper look bad at all. He still looked strong because he had the move. It's just Bret Hart got it over. Unbelievable match. Maybe the best match overall that we've seen in these 8 WrestleManias. That's counting Tito and Macho Man and everything else. This one was just effortlessly so good. So much emotion to it. Even though they didn't hate each other, even though they came off as they hated each other at the beginning, they didn't. And then just the post match to it was really good. 2 brothers, cousins, whatever, hugging it out and making their way to the back. Bret looks absolutely defeated. He's gushing blood. But damn, what a match. That was awesome.
You said it perfectly, everything. Like there's nothing else to add, but I will add a couple things. The promos before the matches are something that are missed these days. The promos after the matches, something missed these days.
Yes.
We're going to go into the Ric Flair post promo, which that's the most famous gif that people use when they're, it really is. That's where it came from. But the pre-match, if we didn't have that pre-match promo of Piper explaining to us, yes, we need story, what the story of the match was, that's what happened, and that's why I was hyped for this match. It got me into it. I cannot wait to see, because I didn't know who was going to win. I assumed Bret Hart was going to win because that was the story of this WrestleMania, it seemed like, up to this point where the old dudes are losing to the new dudes. So why not have Bret Hart win? But how was Bret Hart going to win? His move is the sharpshooter. Is he going to make him tap out? I don't see Roddy Piper tapping out. So like this was a very creative finish. I loved it. And to your point, technical to the point. There was no mistakes. There was no Ronda Rousey's shoulders were up. It was perfect and crisp. And that's what you expect from a Bret Hart match. Blood.
So sorry. I just want to say your point to how smart these two guys are. And I'll remember you said the blood, but I want to say the part where Bret was on his back and Rowdy fell on top of him, or at least his head.
Yep.
But the referee never made a pin. Nope. And, I'm like Bobby Heenan. I'm saying referee should be making a pin right now. But Gorilla says, no, both their shoulders are down. They're both down. He goes, well, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about anymore. That just tells you how intelligent those two guys are to make sure your shoulders are down. It's just that little nugget in there where you kind of go, you see the expertise of what these two guys are. But go ahead. The blood was just like a modern day AEW match. This one was pretty intense. But it made it, gosh, man, when you saw blood back then, all right? Hogan bled, people bled, but it didn't happen every match. It only happened a couple matches in this one, in this pay-per-view specifically. And it just made things so much more heightened. I'm thinking, is Bret Hart going to lose? No, he's bleeding. He's definitely going to win this match. And it made me care, and I didn't want to walk away. There's some matches on this card where I'm like,
Do I care about this 8-man tag? No. Okay. But this one obviously was very, very important. One of the greatest Intercontinental Championship matches probably of all time. To me, it's the best match on this card. It's the best one. It is. So if you haven't seen it and you're just watching this or just scrolling through YouTube, go on Netflix. Go find it because this match was incredible. So,
but there's two matches. This and there's another one we're going to talk about in just a minute or just a few minutes. That is, if you, I would say just as good. Like you say, maybe just right under this match, but two matches that you absolutely have to watch if you're a wrestling fan. But one that you could probably skip is the next one, and that is the 8-man tag. You talked about Big Boss Man Virgil, Sergeant Slaughter, who's now a babyface all of a sudden, Jim Duggan, the Mountie, the Nasty Boys, and Repo Man with Jimmy Hart as their manager. Jim Duggan's team defeated the Mountie and the Nasty Boys and Repo. Be honest, all right, this to me was a filler. This was just, let's get everybody on the card. Let's get them that WrestleMania paycheck. Let's honor some of the vets in here. Sergeant Slaughter, Jim Duggan. Let's get them in here. Let's get Hogan's friends, the Nasty Boys, on the card. Even though Nasty Boys were fun, they're fun. They should be on it, right? They're get it. I get it. But Repo Man, come on, Anyway, they got their money. It was all right. It was a filler. This was a time where you could get up and move. Just in my opinion, somebody could come on the comments right now and say I'm wrong and whatever. This was great, but I didn't really pay attention to this. I looked up, looked down, never was interested in it at all. Never caught my attention. Am I wrong, Josh? Was this something that maybe got your attention?
This is like a modern day AEW good guy versus bad guy. The Bucks, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus versus the Don Callis family, and they're all going to do their thing and all have their own spot. Cool.
All right. So let's move on to what possibly could be, or maybe it should have been, the main event. And we'll get into the main event and maybe why it was the main event if you start to think about what the storyline was and everything else. However, and then how this match finished, why maybe it could have been the main event or why it maybe was not the main event. But the action, the drama beforehand, the story leading into the match and the story within the match, Randy Savage and Ric Flair. Ric Flair, if you haven't seen an NWA match, which was in his prime in NWA, before, in WCW, before going to WWF, but then this is prime Ric Flair right here, versus prime Savage, really. Maybe toward kind of getting to the end of prime Savage, even though you got WCW Savage, but this right here showed how great these two guys were, how great Ric Flair was at telling a story. How easy was it for him to make you hate him? We see Ric Flair, right, in professional wrestling standards. We all have our own goats or whatever, but everybody kind of always says, okay, Ric Flair, the greatest of all time, 16-time world champion, the robes, and, we all have that. The wrestling fans usually go that route. But right here, you're seeing the real Ric Flair, the one where Dusty Rhodes and Sting and Barry Windham and so they hated Terry Funk. They hated Ric Flair in wrestling terms in NWA, WCW. Randy Savage, this story right here, Elizabeth, the pictures, which end up, I think the day after they found this doctored and, it was really images with Randy Savage that, they just photoshopped the head on there. And then Mr. Perfect, I got to give credit before. Perfect is, Mr. Perfect is a great in-ring competitor, one of the greatest of all time in the ring. But as a quote-unquote manager or the back, so damn good. Did his job so well. This match was amazing. This match was perfect. Like, again, Bret Hart, Piper, you could tell they know each other so well. Where here you see two guys that know how to wrestle so well. That know that, hey, I'm about to do this. Hey, he made Savage look so strong. And then Savage made Flair look so good too. And of course, Flair gets the crimson mask. His hair is all soaking red blood. His face is covered. But the match itself was amazing. And then, you got the elbow drop off the top, and you like, it's going to be over. Holy crap. here comes Perfect, takes it. Here comes Elizabeth. You see Shane McMahon for the first time. Nick Barwinkle, Dave Hebner's running out there. It's like, there's the drama of it all. Elizabeth is trying to get in there. Match was great. Match wraps up. Savage wins by pulling on the tights of Rick, which Perfect and Flair have every right to be pissed, right? But it's the after of the match that was like, oh shit, this is personal. Like that is good TV. That was awesome. Where Elizabeth's holding Savage. He has the belt. Oh my God! Here comes Rick. Rick says, "What about me? What about me?" He kisses Elizabeth. Elizabeth, for the first time, gets really physical. Starts going to town. Piper has to be held down like a ravaged animal. Flair's running out in the back with Perfect. Holy crap! What a way to end it, that match. And then the post-match promos. Holy crap! Like, it felt personal. It felt real. It felt me like, man, I cannot wait for match 2 of these two guys. I cannot wait to see what these guys do next. Like, we're getting to WrestleMania 9. It's not like we're going to watch the next PLE or the next pay-per-view or whatever. But what a freaking story. What a match. These two. You see why Ric Flair was Ric Flair or is Ric Flair. You see why. You know why Macho Man's as great as he is. But what a match between two greats.
In today's 2026, there's like 5 matches on PLEs. They call them PLEs nowadays. And if you're watching this 10 years from now and they change the names,
yeah. It was pay-per-view back then. Now it's PLE now.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm just giving you like an example. So let's say this gets put on. Let's say this is the card for the next PLE in WWE in 2026, right? That's 5 matches, all quality except for one. The party match kind of sucks, but you kind of have to have that kind of match in there.
Yeah.
So, like, you could have ended it here. This could have been WrestleMania. This could have been it. I would have been happy. This would have been a perfect ending. You ever watch a movie where the movie ends, you think it's the conclusion, you reach the climax, and then we get like 15 more minutes of just filler?
Yeah.
There's a name for it. You went to film school. I don't want to put you on the spot, but there's a name for like whatever happens afterwards. I used to listen to a film podcast. They talked about it all the time. That after this match, that's what this was. Trash, dude. There's this complete trash matches. Nothing worth my time happens after this match. And we still have like 5 more. That because this is how good this match was. But if we didn't have the extra matches, we wouldn't have had the extra promos. Maybe they would have cut them on Raw. But they're more Raw live, right? Flair's blood. He's mad. They pulled the tights. Heenan's so mad. He left commentary to go down to the locker room.
It felt real. It felt really good.
And it just felt like that wouldn't happen in today's world where the heel manager who's commentating, like everything just fell right into where it should have been in pieces, all of it. But on top of that, with the whole drama of Elizabeth coming down and people are stopping her, and that's when you know Macho Man has to win. Macho Man can't lose. Does the roll up, beats the heel by cheating. That's one of my favorite finishes in all of wrestling. When the babyface cheats to win and the heel still has a leg to stand on. That's my favorite finish in all storylines. And that's what happened there tonight, or WrestleMania 8, whenever that happened way back in the day. Why can't it be that easy this day? Like, why am I going to watch Saturday Night Main Event tonight and none of the matches are going to have a finish like this? It had everything. The drama, the post-match, everything was 5 stars. Like, this is a definition of a 5-star match. I did say that the Piper match was my favorite match because of the story leading into it, because they gave you that promo ahead of time. This is the best match probably for the World Heavyweight Championship in WWE history. I know you're going to say Andre and this and Andre and Hogan. I get it. There's a difference between the most important matches and the best matches. And this might be the best WWF championship match. It had to be the best championship match in wrestling history.
It just tells you, again, where it's like, I was thinking as I was watching this, Ric Flair, this is Ric Flair's first time in WWF. He was always the NWA WCW guy. He was running territories, where Hogan was the head of WWF as the champion, Flair was going around the country or in those territories as the world champion for WCW and NWA. But that just told you how important he is, that they right away put the belt on him at the Rumble. He's the champion here. And then you see why. It was crazy because I was before this match, I was expecting to be disappointed in regards of how it was going to be, because there's a famous story that is told, I think, by Scott Hall and Ric Flair about Savage and Flair on live TV or something having a match or something like that. And McMahon sends them out, tells them exactly what to do. They go out. McMahon's pissed. They didn't do it. It wasn't great. He sent them back out there to do it again. He got pissed, started it again. And so I was half expecting not to enjoy this match. Like, maybe I'm going to see why McMahon didn't like it. But I came away going, I absolutely love this match. This made me a bigger fan of Flair and Savage. This was Flair in his prime. I've seen a lot of Flair matches. I watch a lot of those WCW NWA matches because I just love watching old school stuff and kind of seeing what made him great. But this was one of the better matches. And again, the post show, the post match, the post interviews felt real, felt raw. You know, Bobby Heenan smacking the telephone off the wall, and perfect. It's so damn perfect on the microphone, and it's Savage on, the next thing with his glasses off, and the way he's talking, kind of with his real voice. And then Gene Okerlund asks Elizabeth, like, hey, I know this is a little personal, but do you feel vindicated? And Savage doesn't even let her talk. He goes, no. Hey, take this. This is yours. You've earned this. He gave her the belt. He goes, go here. Then he just says, perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. And he goes on this little bit of a tiny other rant, but it's so real, so raw. And it's like, I want to see what's next with these guys, even though we're not going to do that here. I'm like, I loved what I saw here. It was so great. Let me just say here, Tatanka, Rick Martel, that's the next match. You're right. I'll say the next three matches literally did not have to be here, but especially Owen Hart and Skinner. Owen Hart's Owen Hart. However, like that match before the main event, like I wondered why the hell I didn't even see the spit in the face at first. All of a sudden I saw Owen Hart would look like shit on his face, and I'm like, what the hell is that? I had to rewind it to catch it very fast. Either way, that's a minute 36 seconds. I'm not going to really get into that. We could skip that match, but just to get into Tatanka, Rick Martel. Again, the way it started, Tatanka's in the ring dancing. Rick Martel cuts the promo. It's all right. Wasn't bad. Didn't really need to be there. Martel, good look. I'm surprised Rick Martel never rose up as far. Maybe, I don't know. If we would have saw the in-between, we'll know why. But like, if you look at him, you can see where maybe he could have been a little higher on the card. However, match is over. Tatanka goes over. Earthquake, Typhoon, the natural disasters take on the Money Inc., Ted DiBiase, and IRS. They win by count out. I'll tell you one thing. I'll give Earthquake and Typhoon were good. Their stories are cool. I give them all the credit because they did a lot better than the Boss Man in the last WrestleMania. They won by count out. They were not happy. They were pissed. They didn't celebrate. Oh, we won! Like this doofus in the last WrestleMania. God bless them. Rest in peace. But they didn't win the titles. And DiBiase and IRS. That's a villain move. I didn't hate it. It's kind of like, oh, it's WrestleMania. What are we doing? But if you think about it, holy crap, we can't beat this team. Give me the belts. Let's get the hell out of here. Let's walk. Okay, let them have it. We'll give them the money. We'll keep in the belts. I didn't mind that. DiBiase was so easy, so good. IRS was not bad either. But that was a heel move. I'll give, though, the credit due where with the natural disasters where they sold it really well, that they were pissed off that they didn't win the match. The referee goes to hold their hands. He's like, the fuck off. Get off me. So I'll give them that.
I don't care about any of these matches. Matter of fact, I watched them all. There's only one match I didn't watch, and it's not my fault. I watched all these matches to completion because I watched them last night. The only match I didn't watch last night was the Hogan match. I saved it for this morning.
I was just thinking, I watched everything last night and watched Hogan one this morning.
Yep. But to be fair, when the Owen Hart match started, I'm like, oh, Owen Hart. All right, let me go get some water.
He came back.
I came back and I'm like, all right, it's time to turn this sucker off. I'm not rewinding this thing.
Good. You didn't. I did because I didn't know where the shit came from on his face. I was like, what is that?
I was like, oh, time to get some nice refreshments because I like to see Owen Hart wrestle. I was pissed. But anyway, the last match, 9 matches on this card. I over exaggerated. There was not 14.
No, this one was shorter.
And thank goodness, because that's probably why it was my favorite WrestleMania up to this point. Because of this shortness, I saw that it was only 2 hours and 40 something minutes. That's the way they should be. This match was the main event. Sid Justice with Harvey Whippleman versus Hulk Hogan. Hogan wins by DQ, lame ass finish. But this was, people were hot for this. People loved this. People wanted to be involved in this
The
match.
crowd was great.
The crowd was
great.
hot.
Mhm.
During the very boring spots that they did with the test of strength and the holds and this and that. It was a very, very boring match. Hogan does his thing. He hulks up. He hits the leg drop. Sid kicks out because the real life story, Papa Shango misses his cue. He was supposed to get there and break it up and that's the DQ, but didn't happen. So Sid had to kick out of the leg drop. The first person.
Oh, I didn't know that part. I didn't know the backstory to that.
Yeah.
That's because I was going to say, like, it was so interesting that, they made him look so strong that he actually kicked out of the atomic leg drop. It was a missed cue.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to do it.
Okay, go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Yeah, wasn't supposed to do it. Papa Shango was supposed to come in there, and you saw him down the aisle. He was just standing there. Did you see that? He was just standing there. He was supposed to be running in there, breaking up the count, but he just missed his cue like an idiot. But speaking about idiots, we get the return of the Ultimate Warrior out of nowhere. I guess that was cool. What a lame ass finish. You get the best WWF title match in the history of the company to this point on WrestleMania. And then this is your main event. This is peak WWF. But then again, how could you blame them? Not that Vince could see the future, but he made the big mistake putting Triple H and Chris Jericho as the main event.
Yes.
Like, I understand the WWF Championship should be the main attraction, but let's be clear. Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi is a bigger draw than Gunther and Cody. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the main event of Italy next weekend, but I know it won't be. But I would not be surprised if it was, because, to be fair, that's the bigger draw, Brock and Oba. So the bigger draw back then was probably Hogan and Sid. It makes sense. Look at Sid. He's a monster. He's a badass.
That was my point. Hindsight, right? It's always like, oh, well, if I would have known that those two were great, I would have had them. Sure. Because I started thinking, like, when I realized Savage and Flair were not the main event, because it's automatically assumed that, hey, the main event's going to be the championship. When I realized that wasn't the case, I started thinking, like, why? What's the point? When you watch the pre-match promos or the vignettes, whatever you want to call them, before the Hogan match with Sid Justice, you kind of understand it. First off, they made Sid look great. I mean, he was a monster, dude. He was Lesnar before Lesnar. He was choke slamming guys, tossing them like nothing. Like, I mean, they made him look unbeatable. And, his jealousy that Hogan got the main event, which was supposed to be Flair and Hogan, but Hogan and Flair, obviously McMahon saw them and kind of did not feel good about the draw with the two of them together, which to me is a missed opportunity. But again, when you watch Savage Flair, you're like, I'm happy we got that one. But you still left with, we never got a WrestleMania with Hogan and Flair. But McMahon saw that, the house show, and kind of went, no, we're going to go this route. It made the right decision in regards to Flair and Savage, and in regards as in the ring. But in regards to the main event, like, you go, why would Hogan and Justice get the main event? Well, Justice, again, looked unbeatable, looked like a freaking beast. He was in phenomenal shape. And then Hogan, in the same sense, was, again, they did the whole thing with, are you going to retire? He's like, I'm not sure. I won't know. So it's like, okay, this is built as Hogan's last match. Let's have him, have his last match. Let it be the main event. Let this be the main attraction. The fans don't know. If he loses, he's out. If he wins, he'll decide. So Justice comes out. He's in the ring. Harvey Whippleman does the Paul Heyman thing. Here comes Hogan. The music hits. The crowd explodes. You still see the power of Hogan. We talked about McMahon in the Hogan documentary review. McMahon couldn't quit Hogan. Point being here, right? And then you get it. You're like, okay. Now, if you add all those other ingredients together, it makes sense as why this is the main event, even though the title's not there, because Hogan is still Hogan, right? It's just it's the blockbuster draw. I'm going to tell you how this match probably should have gone. especially now that you tell me that it was all a script. Because when I saw the kick out leg drop, I was like, oh, they were going to make him look strong. They're making him look, he kicked out for the first time. Hogan has to do it one more time. Here comes Shango. Here comes Warrior. And then that's when I'm like, the way it ended, it was like, that's why it should not have been the main event.
Yep.
That should have been Savage with Elizabeth with the fireworks and everything else. But if they would have done it this way, Hogan comes out. He rolls into the ring. The music is blaring, Real American. Justice is pounding on Hogan's back. The music keeps going. The music is still going for a while. Right?
Yeah.
You hear the music. And
Yep.
it seems like a movie. I am a real man. And he's fighting Justice. And Justice, Hogan, what should have happened at that point? It should have been, I hate to say squash. It should have been where Hogan kind of, goes here. Justice does it. Hogan hooks up, still with his shirt on. Big boot, big leg. 1, 2, 3. The music continues. And it's like, oh my God, what about Hogan defeated the monster that quick? I think that's how it should have went. Because Justice was good in regards to in-ring look. He looked strong and whatever. He wasn't the best. Obviously he wasn't the best wrestler in the ring. Where, it like you see the weaknesses as the match was going on. Like you have to do power versus power. It wasn't, it's kind of like Warrior a little bit, even though I think Justice was a little more talented. It was more like Warrior where, Andre, you kind of figured that's the case, but Andre could tell a story. Andre made himself look weak and then he would go strong, where Justice didn't do that. Justice kind of, and I'm not, Sid Justice, a Hall of Famer, Sid Vicious, Hall of Famer. I like him. He had the look, he had everything. Not too good on the mic, but again, he didn't have to be. He had the look. To me, though, this match would have been better had it been shorter. If I don't know if it was on purpose to leave the music running as long as it did, but that's what I visualized. I was like, this should be it right here, kind of like a Rocky movie. Make it quick. Hogan, are you gonna retire? Do you still have it? Because he said before the match, when I think about me versus Sid Justice, I just don't know. I have to see after. Like that should have been a prove it thing. And I think if that was the case, even though we were, man, it should have been longer. This was the WrestleMania main event, but we would have had that complaint. I think it would have been better. I think we would have felt better about, because this WrestleMania probably was the better WrestleMania out of all of them. But I think we would have felt so much better about it had that been the case. If Hogan would have went over with the music and made it like, no, you are still Hulk Hogan, not, it ended in a disqualification with Shango. Sid Vicious kicked out. Shango comes out. They're both attacking. And then you had Ultimate Warrior come out and help you at the end. And you guys are standing in the ring for whatever reason, celebrating. And that's how you close out WrestleMania. I don't want to see Hogan and Warrior celebrating at the end of this WrestleMania. I could, if you would have had it shorter and Hogan's going like this and doing his little pose with the fireworks, that would have been better. Because you're like, Hogan is still Hulk Hogan will never die. You wrap it up. But because that wasn't the case, the main event should have been Savage Flair. If McMahon went into this WrestleMania going, this is how we're going to end it, somebody should have said, no, dude, wait a second. So if it would have been shorter, in my opinion, this would have been better.
Yeah. Shorter, always better with Hogan matches. If you want to have, listen, I don't care what you guys think or say. Hogan should have lost this match if he's going away. If Hogan's going away,
yes,
should have lost the match. Sid should have won, in my opinion. But that's not how it went down. Can't change the time. Should have been the main event? No. Do I understand why it was? Yeah. Should have been shorter? Yeah. Look, Brock Lesnar matches aren't fun when they're long. Sorry, they're not. Hogan matches, Sid matches, they need to be short. They're not technically great at all. It would have been so much better. I didn't want to see two guys holding hands for 5 minutes straight. Didn't need it. But we got it. And this match happened and Warrior came back and the rest is history. Hogan's last match until WrestleMania, the very next WrestleMania, right?
That's right. Yeah, I think so.
Hogan comes back and helps out Brett, his good old buddy Brett, and takes his title.
Don't spoil it.
Yeah, I know that one. I know this one. I know what happens in the next one. And I know Lex Luger is going to be in the next one because that's the thumbnail for the show on Netflix. So I'm excited for WrestleMania 9. I don't know what's going to come about except for Yokozuna, Bret Hart, Hogan. I know that. But other than that, I don't know what's going to happen next. But I do know that according to my research, this is the last technical golden era WrestleMania. We're moving into the new era of WWF, according to this website right in front of me, that this is the last golden era episode.
Yep. Yeah, this is going to be the era now where, because Remember, I was golden age. You know, when growing up, I would watch WrestleMania. Those are WrestleManias from Hollywood Video and Blockbuster because Hogan was in them. I loved watching those WrestleManias. And but growing up, I was a WCW guy. So I didn't pay attention to WrestleMania 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all those other ones until WCW shut down. And then maybe a little before WCW shut down is when I went to the WWF and started watching WWF TV. And then WCW got bought because I was turning back and forth. And then I really paid attention to WWE. So I can't wait for these next WrestleManias after WrestleMania 10, because then I'll kind of be in unknown territory in regards of characters and what went down and everything. So I'll be in your shoes at that point, or we'll be in there together. We'll share shoes.
We'll be in there together until about WrestleMania 17.
Yeah, then
that's probably when I'll get back. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this match. Oh, that was cool. But I'll spoil it right now, everybody. I know everybody's been waiting for this. I rank every WrestleMania up to this point, and this is no secret. It shouldn't be a secret. This is by far and away the greatest WrestleMania up to the date, up to WrestleMania 8. Out of all 8, this is number 1. It has the 2 best matches in WrestleMania history up to date. Great stories, title changes. We had the Intercontinental Championship changing hands. We had the WWF Championship changing hands. So it's always good to see a title change on these shows. You had star power, right? You didn't have a bunch of jobber matches. You had Bret Hart making his singles debut at WrestleMania. We had Bret Hart making his debut. Undertaker continuing the streak. And then, of course, Ultimate Warrior making his great return in Hogan's last match. Well, not his last match, but his last main event WrestleMania match until the very next one. So what a jam-packed WrestleMania. And the Family Feud guy made an appearance.
That's right. And so, one thing, I think about, because I threw this at you before the show, and I think we're going to do a show about this after we get past 10, about what could have been the main event, what should have been the main event here and there, because WrestleMania 8 is famous for that. This should have been the Hogan versus Flair WrestleMania. It didn't happen, so, should it have been the main event? Again, I always think it's a shame that it never happened. However, when you see Flair and Savage, you're like, maybe it's good. It's a good thing it didn't happen because we got that match. Same time though, could have been the case, right? So I can't wait till when we get to 10, and after 10, we'll do that other show about the rebooking of WrestleMania main events, because I have so many in my head already, like, what could have been, what should have been, and go from there. Yeah, WrestleMania 17 was amazing. Can't wait to get there. 18, obviously. Those WrestleManias were awesome. Talk about Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 19, right? Brock versus Kurt Angle, the famous shooting star press, but still the match itself was just I just can't wait to get to those ones. Then I'm going to know, like, oh, I remember this. I remember that, but I guess a fresh set of eyes, or, going back, we'll have a difference of opinion in regards of how we felt about it then and then now. But yeah, what's tonight's Saturday night main event? Is that what's going on tonight?
Apparently, I didn't know until about 5 minutes before this show when I pulled the notes up. Apparently, it's a Saturday night main event tonight. So if you're watching that, I don't know if Adrian of the Rainy Day Podcast is doing a show over there, pre-show, post-show. I'm not sure, but I know he's in our chat, so I want to appreciate you, my friend Adrian over there at the Rainy Day Pod. Yes. Bobby, you have been busy. I know football season's ramping up. The schedule came out. I'm not sure if you guys did a show on that or if you looked at the schedule. I'm sure you have. Yeah. Where can we find that information?
Yeah, man, no, on Fin's Talk Sports Network YouTube channel, FTSN. We are at 45. We're about 45, 4,593, I think, subscribers right now. We're almost at that 46. Trying to get the 5. I'm excited. But yeah, man, we got the schedule up on there. Fin's Talk today, Thursday night. Last Thursday, we talked about it with TD Fin's Talk and Fin Sammy. We kind of discussed the episode before about what kind of match, kind of game by game, just thinking at the top. I mean, you have the right to change as you get closer to the season when you see how everything kind of plays out. But like, again, it's hard to find more than 4 to 5 wins. TD though says 11, and I'm like, whoa, but that happens, right? You're the fan in you.
Listen, can I just intervene?
Of course.
Here, I used to be a big baseball fan, and the Rays this year, every year here in Tampa Bay, the Rays are like cautionally, like, we're optimistic about, they're always in it. They're always there, even though they're the worst attendance, worst payroll. They're always in the playoffs. This year was the first year of my life since 2008 where it was this team's going to lose 100 games. They're the best team in baseball. Literally, the Rays are the best team in baseball. So anything is possible, Dolphins fans.
100%.
Anything is possible. The Rays were projected to literally lose over 100 games. Best team in baseball. So keep that in mind, Dolphins fans, when you tune into the Finstock Sports Network. Sometimes it's okay to be optimistic. You don't have to be doom and gloom every single day of the year, but that's been the life of my football life, so I totally understand. You could find me at Fantasy Now Plus. We did a show on Thursday. We're usually live on Wednesdays. We talked about players that we didn't want to talk about. I made Justin talk about 2 players that he doesn't want to talk about, and he had to say something good about them, and he gave me 2 players, Mark Andrews and Alec Pierce, and I had to say some good things about them. So for your fantasy football season, fantasy is ramping up. We will be live every Wednesday, and we're live every Monday night, 9 p.m. We do best ball drafts. Brian and Tim Holstad over there, Fantasy Now Plus, if you want to check out some fantasy football news.
Yeah, I just say too, again, post show will be on the Rainy Day podcast, Too Raw for SmackDown. Make sure you check that out after Saturday Night Main Event tonight. His Airness, thank you for tuning in. Justin, my man, appreciate you. Go check out the Ruckus Wrestling podcast as well. Yeah, see, there you go. Justin just popped in because this Mania was one of my favorites. Brett and Piper, Savage Flair are my 2 favorite Mania matches ever. We agree, 2 of the best WrestleMania matches we've watched so far. WrestleMania 8, now Josh's number 1 WrestleMania in this WrestleMania Rewind series. For FTSN, again, yes, we got Dolphins content, we got college football, we got baseball, we got professional wrestling on FTSN and FTSN Extra with Real Talk Wrestling with Josh and the crew. We also got, of course, fantasy sports, as I've talked about before. We got it all here on FTSN. So do me a favor, if you're new to the channel, if this is your first time watching, subscribe. If you are subscribed to the channel, thank you so much. If you haven't done it before, comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what you thought about, what you think about WrestleMania 8, what you think about any of the prior WrestleManias, or topics you may want us to discuss, or if you disagree or agree with us, let us know. We love to hear from you all. So that's Josh Kimmel. I'm Bobby Melendez. Like and subscribe. Have a great weekend. Happy Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that. Bye.
I know.
Oh!